Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. It's Miriam and I'm back with another founder interview. Today I'm chatting with Reena about her journey as an entrepreneur and founder, and she's kind enough to participate in the QUOKA project as well. So how are you, Reena?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to chat with me. I'm working on making the best product possible, so kind of understanding what entrepreneurs go through, some of the problems that they face is super helpful. And, the questions I ask are not meant to be right or wrong answers in any way, just trying to learn about you. And I appreciate you taking time.
Yeah, that's fun. Let's have some fun.
Do you have any questions before we get started?
I am ready to be on the receiving end.
Right. Well, let's start off with just chatting a little bit about your journey. If you want to take us through an introduction, how you got to where you are today and what you're working on.
Okay, great. So, right out of college, I took an internship at the Jerry Springer Show, and that is where my career began. I went from intern to producer in about 8 months. So that means I went from taking the guests around Chicago with petty cash to then booking the guests, briefing the guests, pitching Jerry, being backstage, and watching the stories that I book unfold. I did that for, yeah. I did that for 2 seasons. I produced the season opener for the third season and then got a little bit burnout. I don't know if I realized that was burnout at the time, but I was definitely like living and breathing the job and atmosphere. So after that, I was like, what do you do after Jerry Springer? I tried sales. I was like, if I can talk people into doing crazy things on national television, why can't I talk them into buying sporting event packages? So I tried that, really did not like the switch, really did not like that cowbell, ring the cowbell if you make a sale environment. So there wasn't a whole lot of television in Chicago outside of Oprah and maybe Jenny Jones at the time. So I moved out to LA with a boyfriend at the time and started all the way over. So I went from being a producer to answering the phones for 3 producers, an executive assistant, a coffee fetcher. But what I did learn, because it was a family run company and actually they were great guys to work for. They had been in the industry for about 20, 30 years. I learned how to do the accounts payable and receivable and SAG contracts and location scouting and really the business side of production, which I had a little bit experience of putting together budgets and things, but I really didn't know what it was like to do payroll for 200 people, what it was like to do accounts payable and receivable for a production that, was 200 cast members, so
yeah,
that was really good to learn. But at the same time, I really wanted to get back into the creative side of things. So while I was answering phones and doing payroll and accounts payable and receivable, I was applying to be an associate producer or be a field interviewer. And so I went from being an executive assistant to getting back into the creative side, being a field interviewer, being an associate producer, learning how to be an assistant editor, then becoming a post-production supervisor and working a range of positions to stay employed and bounce from pilot to season 1 to season 2 to season 3 and hope that the shows that you're working on get picked up. And I did that for about 3 years in LA and got to work on some cool projects from VH1 to E to Nanny 911 was the last show that I worked on for 3 seasons. And then I met my husband online, got married, had 3 kids in 4 years, felt like I knocked out that chapter.
Wow.
And I took a little bit of a mommy break, although while my kids were in preschool, I still kind of wanted to keep my foot in the door. So I started doing court research for a court TV show where I was kind of like in casting / stringer. I was going to different courthouses. I did it in Kentucky, Indiana, Chicago. I got to be friends with the clerks, knew what, they were looking for in the show, how to get them the quickest. And I did that for about 5 seasons. which was great because it kept my foot in the door in Hollywood and it kind of fulfilled that news junkie in me.
Yeah.
Then I tried corporate America for a bit. I joined a telecom company and then a financial firm. And at those two places, I really started using LinkedIn to connect with people. That's kind of like when LinkedIn began.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wow, you can just type in chief financial officer and become friends with them. Just like you're becoming friends with people that want to be on a TV show, you can become friends with chief experience officers, chief financial advisors, and get those people to come to your company if they are the target people that you're looking to connect to, and do these lunch and learn events, steak dinners in the financial industry. So I got financial advisors, I got estate attorneys, I got centers of influence, all from LinkedIn. I was like, okay, this is amazing. And then my phone was like always the one that was ringing. So I was like, I want to try to do this for myself. So I went from like working for other people for a very long time to then kind of like inching my way into entrepreneurship, kind of like side hustling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first entrepreneurial venture actually was a girl that I worked with from the financial firm. We had put on an event together, and we knew that we worked well together in the trenches. And she was putting on a big event for Gary Vee. And she was like, hey, can you help me get some sponsors for the event? Here's a list of 2,000 potential people. See if you can get one of them. And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I'm good at connecting with people. I would love to meet Gary Vee and be a part of that media junket and that experience. I'm going to find some sponsors. So for 3 weeks, I sent tons of emails, reached out to people on Twitter, reached out to people on LinkedIn, hit it really hard. And I ended up landing a couple of sponsors.
Nice.
And found my way to Toronto for the event, got to meet Gary. It was super cool. I was pregnant at the time, totally insane. And made a little bit of money doing it. I got 20% of the sponsors that I booked. Now I charge to even reach out to the sponsors and 20%. But you know, it was like inching my way into seeing if I can make money outside of working for other people. And I did. And then that led to me, you know, helping coordinate events, market events, book sponsors for influencers, manage Facebook groups for influencers, become a coach for an influencers coaching program. It led to so many other things. So the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey was really trying a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing how you can make money, the most money, you know, and play to your strengths, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of just figuring things out in the beginning. You're like, okay, I just worked 3.5 weeks and I made $1,600. That doesn't seem like the best way, right? Let me see how else I can help and how else I can make money and not spend that amount of time doing it.
Yeah. So how long have you been an entrepreneur now?
For about 3.5 years.
Okay.
And now I have bigger clients. I've raised my prices. I have multiple clients. I have a team. So those are all upgrades.
Yeah, that feels good to be like getting to those levels. Yeah. And I have your website. It's still kind of loading. I'm at my mom's house and the internet connection's not the fastest here. But what is the Better Call Daddy project about? I mean, I love the name. It's so fun. And I would love to hear more about it.
Yeah. So I started a podcast with my daddy. My daddy is my number one fan, and he was an entrepreneur, is an entrepreneur. He's reinvented himself more than once. He's my biggest cheerleader. He has witnessed and helped me with my entrepreneurial journey. So he ran a manufacturing company with his parents for 45 plus years. So I was always calling him and asking, how do I price my services? How do I take more clients? How do I hire good people? All of these questions that entrepreneurs need to know. And I was like, wow, I would love to share my daddy's wisdom with the world. So I thought, you know, I want to use my casting experience. I want to use my marketing chops. I want to get better at writing, marketing, putting all of these things together from start to finish. So I decided to create a podcast in order to show people that I'm good at those things. And then I just thought, let's use my dad for a final thought at the end, kind of like Jerry Springer, right? And add my daddy's wit and sarcasm and our special relationship to the show. So that became the show.
How fun. And so you interview guests and bring them on, and then your dad comes in at the end with a recap snippet.
Exactly. Well, so yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's funny because in the beginning I was like, oh, I'm going to have my dad on and then he'll chime in at the end. But it works out better where I interview the guests. I have the fun with the guest, edit it down to the segment that's going to be used. He listens to it. Then he calls me and we have a little segment together. And then I edit that down. I do the intro. So I've got a whole process.
Yeah. Are you on TikTok yet?
Not yet. I know I should be doing a few other things that I'm not doing yet, but I did just put up episode 150 recently, and I put just like a little promo clip like as a short on YouTube, and that did really well. Like it got like 500 views. I was pretty happy because like I didn't care about the timing. I didn't write a description. I just plopped it up there. And I was like, oh, wow. So I was like, I do Instagram reels. Sometimes those hit, sometimes they don't. There's so much that goes into that. It's like what time of day you post, like what kind of thumbnail you make, what kind of caption you give it,
Yeah, it's a lot. There's so much.
Yeah, for me, truthfully, if I put out something that I can be proud of, that I have quality controlled, that I am happy with the interview, that I am happy with the outro, I don't so much care about the numbers because I'm getting quality clients from it and I'm happy with the message that I'm putting into the world. And I know like I'm creating like a little tribe with it. Like I have people reach out to me all the time. So yeah, I think we got to care less about the numbers and more about the quality that you're putting out there.
I love that. Yeah, I see a lot of, dads on TikTok and stuff. So I was wondering like, oh, maybe they're doing a TikTok thing along with it, but there's just so much to do. It's really not possible to do it all. And like you're saying, also be quality. And so.
Yeah. So my dad too, like truthfully, when we started the podcast, he didn't even know how to get on Zoom. And he still doesn't even have a mic. Like he uses his earbuds for our little 5-minute segment. And he travels to be with his mother in Florida. Like he's helping take care of her. So I'm like, he can do the Zoom. He can do the earbuds. Like I'm getting it professionally edited. And like, since my segment is like the majority of the show, I'm like, I'm good with where we are. Occasionally when he comes and visits, we'll do some like on the fly videos together. Or if I have some reactions I need him to do, I'll like make a couple reactions with him in it, which is super personalized for the guests. Yeah. But maybe in the future, but right now, yeah, like daddy's not doing so much video.
Well, let's jump into some of these other questions I have. Do you belong to any founder communities, any like entrepreneur groups?
Yeah, not so much, but I did create a Facebook group of my own, which has about 650 people in there over the last year. And I feel like that's a community now. I am in a couple other people's Facebook groups. So I guess that's kind of like entrepreneurial groups.
Okay. It's mostly entrepreneurial Facebook groups?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely think that counts for sure, especially in this day and age.
I'm in podcasting groups. I'm in, groups of people that are in my group. And, I was just on another show tonight, The Binge Factor, and she was asking like how I get such good engagement with such a small community. Like I only have a couple thousand followers on Instagram. I join their Facebook groups. I support their posts. I share their content if they ask me. So I know who my people are. I know who's engaging with my content, and I really try to do it for them as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a small, big world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so these questions are true or false, or like yes or no. Being an entrepreneur is fun.
Yes.
Being an entrepreneur is hard.
Yes, true.
Do you feel understood as an entrepreneur?
Ooh, that would be an in-betweener.
Yeah. For the most part.
For
Like
the
when
most
you're out.
part, yes, because I feel like I am getting more and more raw and able to just speak off the cuff.
Nice. Do you feel listened to as an entrepreneur?
I do. Wow, that's an interesting question, actually.
Okay.
I feel listened to with my podcast because people are always DMing me. But with some of my clients, I definitely listen more than I feel listened to.
That makes sense. Yeah. What about this one? The people around you understand the problems and challenges that you face as an entrepreneur.
That's really interesting because I had a conundrum that's coming up for a future shoot, and my client changed the location last minute. And I definitely had to express that I didn't think that that was a good idea. And he apologized. So I did actually think that he understood where I was coming from.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. Is life as an entrepreneur depressing at times?
It can be, especially as a mompreneur with 4 kids, 13 and under. I feel sometimes held back by the juggle. Like I have to take calls while my kids are home. My husband is the breadwinner, right? So I'm having to build a business while being a mom. He gets undivided attention to his work.
Yeah, that is very real. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel pressure as an entrepreneur to be involved in communities online or in person?
Yeah, so I was asked to be a part of a networking book recently, and she's doing her book release the same time as my Toastmaster group. And I just found out about the book release the day before, and Toastmasters are planned like a month in advance. And whereas I would like to be a part of her community, and she was like, I'll feature you, you know, you're part of the book. I want to introduce you. I was like, oh my gosh, she asked me the day before, and I'm Toastmaster this week. Like I'm introducing the speakers, and this is a group that I pay for. And so actually that is a party, a community that I'm a part of as well. Toastmasters. And I've been really trying to get more involved and challenge myself more there. So I felt torn between, hey, this is my personal development in a community that I'm a part of, but hey, she is featuring me in this book and she wants to introduce me to her community. So that was tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is tough. What did you end up doing? I'm just curious.
I'm going to do the Toastmasters because I told them first that I would do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you enjoy helping others and solving problems?
I do. Honestly, when my client wins, I feel like I win. I get high from that.
Mm-hmm. What about when someone asks you for help and it takes you a few days to reply to them? Do you feel guilty?
Yes. And something alongside that, I want to be able to help more people than I can. And honestly, I'm at the place where I've had to say no to people and I've had to recommend them to others, which I'm okay with. Even I got asked to do a walkthrough of a venue for a big event, and it could be a big project for me, but I called my camera guy and was like, hey, like, we could potentially work on this together. I'm happy if you meet the client and the other producer without me. Like, I don't have anybody to watch my kids. They're not starting school till next week. And after he did the walkthrough and after he met the producer, like, and after he described me the scope of the project, I was kind of like, I don't even know if you need me. And I'm honestly okay if you don't. And he's like,
yeah,
we work really well together. You recommended me the project. I feel bad taking it from you. I'm like, It's okay.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, this one. Do you feel pressure to appear to look like you know what you're doing as an entrepreneur?
That too, but I am becoming more comfortable saying I need to look into that. And I think that that's okay.
Yeah. Do you always feel confident that you know what you're doing?
No, every new client is an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's the same work, you are going to learn things with each client that you could not expect.
Yeah. Do you have people that you can speak to about your deepest thoughts and challenges about being an entrepreneur?
My daddy. Definitely.
Yeah, that's great that he has that entrepreneur experience as well. Do you feel comfortable asking for help when you need it?
Okay, so this is one of my biggest challenges. And this started from very early on. I was not a good manager. I am that person that is like, I will do it all myself if you can't figure it out. But now I have gotten to the point in my business where I'm better letting you take a stab at it first and then me modify. So I actually have a team member that like will start something for me and then I will fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you've gotten better asking for help.
Yes.
Well, what do you like best about being an entrepreneur?
Not having to most of the time take calls before noon. I can make my own schedule, and thank goodness I am at the point where I can be pickier with who I give my time to.
Mm-hmm.
And the projects that I work on. I mean, look, I connected with this amazing podcaster tonight, Tracy Hazard of the Binge Factor. I'm shouting her out again, but you know, she really kind of challenged my thinking a little bit. She was like, what if I could give you an opportunity where you're just focused on the part that you like doing, and we took the part that you didn't like doing because, you know, we've scaled what you're doing. And I was like, I would entertain having another conversation about that. Right? Like right now I'm doing so much. Like, what if you could literally just focus on the piece that you enjoyed and multiply that by 100 versus having 4 or 5 clients and doing parts you don't like?
Right.
That's interesting to think about.
Well, I'm eager to hear how that turns out.
I will keep you posted.
Yes. Well, what do you like least about being an entrepreneur?
When you need to take a month off, right? And then there's no steady check.
Uh-huh.
So like September is like all Jewish holidays. I'm literally scheduling like nothing. Like I'm doing all of the work now so that I can like automate everything during September because like I pretty much, my kids are going to be off school like most of the month.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Like sometimes you have really busy months and sometimes you need to do like next to nothing. That's kind of hard.
Yeah.
But you would have that with a 9 to 5 too. But with a 9 to 5, you could ask for, you know, vacation days.
Right. If you could give advice to an aspiring entrepreneur, what would you tell them they needed to fulfill their full potential?
You know, you have to experiment in the beginning. I'm not saying work for free, and I'm not saying like take things that absolutely don't appeal to you. But I've worked in many different verticals. Like I worked in the financial industry, I worked in the telecom space, I worked in the entrepreneurial space, right? Doing different things that I thought sounded interesting. So I would say be open to working in different verticals. Don't get so set up on like, I want to work for X, Y, and Z company.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it took me a long time to really play to my strengths. So if you can like try to know what your strengths are, maybe like take some assessments into that, like think about your experiences that have led you to where you are, and like really think about the parts of what you've done and what you want to get better at. And are there things that you can like learn online to get better at those things? Try things so you know what you're good at and where you should be spending your time. Like, look, I know how to edit video. I am much better as a post-production supervisor telling you the deliverables versus pushing the buttons.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Do you feel that you have everything you need to fulfill your full potential as an entrepreneur?
I'm working on it.
Yes.
Yeah, no is the answer to that. But I am taking steps to get there, and I am continuing to grow. Like one piece is like, I've had my 2-year-old, who's 2.5, home with me the entire time. And the COVID numbers are insane again. And I'm like, I found a group that's like literally a couple streets away, and they're only accepting 10 kids, and the teachers are both vaxxed, and it's only a 3-hour program. And like, do you hear me? I'm making all of these like hesitations about it, but I need that time. Like this is the longest I've had a kid stay home with me all day, every day. I'm still nursing this child. Okay. I just got him out of my room. He's 2.5. I feel like I have done the mommy duty. I love this kid. It's going to be hard for me to drop him off, but mommy needs 3 hours a day where I can work out and I can make some phone calls uninterrupted. Right now, the reason we're having this conversation is because my husband, my amazing husband, gives me from 6 to 10 from holding down the fort for the last 2.5 years. He knows he knows that this gives me my fire and my fuel, and I need this in order to be a better mom. Like, so yeah.
That's beautiful. I feel you. And I'm always in awe of mothers, because I feel like I have I don't have any kids myself yet. And I'm just like, how do you guys do that? It's amazing. It's really amazing.
That is the work right there. That is the hard work right there. And finding, because I'm a perfectionist, so finding balance in that. Like I have nursed each one of my kids almost 2 years alongside like working. Like with my third kid, I remember dropping him off at like 4 months. I would literally nurse him in the car, drop him for 3 hours at a little play group, run to the courthouse, get a zillion cases, as many as I could in that short time that I had to be back to go get him.
Yeah.
And I'm barely making money. I was making like $250 a week. You know what I mean? But it was like spending money. I still felt like my foot was in the door. I was like having fun, like having adult conversations with the clerks. And like, I was excited that I was beating the other shows there. I was excited that I figured out where the people put the cases and where I could go grab them. You know what I mean? It's like, Mommy was still having adventures. And I think I need that. I think some moms do. Not all moms. And I'm not knocking the ones who don't.
Right.
But yeah, that's mompreneurship at its finest right there.
Mommypreneur. Okay, let's talk about when you need information. You want to learn something new about your business or entrepreneurship. You need help, support with a challenge, perhaps. Where do you go for the answer?
That's a great question. I was just talking to someone today, and she's big into research. I mean, YouTube is a great place to go. But she was telling me to check out Google Scholar. Have you ever heard of that? There's a lot of apparently articles and research papers and things. I'm going to check that out actually. But yeah, I do a lot of YouTubing. I'm very active on social media. So I might ask a question to my audience. I might ask people that I know. I might go into Facebook groups, and I'm very comfortable online asking for help or questions. Or even on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's another great platform where you can poll, where you can ask questions, where you can do blog posts. I do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Or read books. There's books too on so many things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. On average, because I know it probably varies, but how long does it typically take you on average to get the information or support that you're looking for?
Not long. Well, depending, right? So I would say my go-to is really social media. People are so resourceful, and I have so many entrepreneurs in my community. Like, I can literally go there and ask almost anything and I'll get a response within a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that I would say is the best thing to do first. And if you can't get an answer there, there's Quora, there's Reddit, there's Google.
Right. Okay, let's go into some of the mental health questions. How would you rate your overall mental health on a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest?
Oh man, I will tell you, I had a hard time like with this last baby. But I feel like I'm in a good place now. And actually part of the reason I started my podcast too is this whole like pandemic thing. And like, I'm such an extrovert and like need to be around people. I feel like the podcast has been like super therapeutic for me over the last year. I would say probably an 8.
Okay. How does that make you feel that you rated yourself at an 8?
Well, there's always room for improvement, right? So I think it too like depends on, you know, what I'm doing in my week. Like this week, I am getting ready to do a shoot this weekend, which is kind of stressful. You know, are all the guests going to show up? Is the location going to work out? You know, is there going to be any connectivity issues? Our power was just out in Chicago last night. Like there's so many details of things that are uncontrollable that can happen. So yeah, that's why it's not a 10.
So would you say that it makes you feel like
On edge.
on edge? Could you put it on a number scale that, you know, that you rated yourself an 8? You rated yourself an 8. How does that make you feel on a scale from 0 to 10?
Maybe a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
Because again, like that perfectionism comes in there where I'm like, I should be grateful I have a pillow under my head. I should be grateful I'm waking up in a comfy bed. All my kids are healthy. I haven't gotten COVID. Like, right?
Yeah.
I should be a 10. Like, there's so much to be grateful for.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel that. What aspects of your life from this list, you can choose as many as you want, are negatively impacted when you feel less than great mentally?
Confidence, friendships, social life, eating habits, sleep, and romantic relationships.
And let's decide whether these items have a positive, neutral, or negative effect on your mental health. Social media.
Honestly, as much as I love social media, I turn it off 24 hours a week and sometimes 48 hours a week. So it's positive because, like I said, I can get a hold of my community and it's a tremendous resource. But mental health wise, to be perfectly honest, I think social media is not good for your mental health.
Okay. What about the news?
Same.
Family?
Family, oh my gosh, that can go either way, but I think overall, positive.
Friendships?
Positive.
Work?
Positive.
Volunteering, giving back?
Positive.
Romantic relationships?
Positive. We all need them.
Which has the most positive effect on your mental health?
Probably family.
How many hours a week do you spend with your family?
Oh my God, I talk to my dad every day. So, and my kids are around all of the time. Oh my God. But how many hours am I really dedicating to them? Well, like I said, I am with the littles like 8 hours a day right now until they go to school. And I spend maybe an hour or two with my dad. Oh my gosh, probably between 8 and 10 hours a day.
So we're looking at probably 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you do to help support or manage your mental health?
Honestly, it sounds crazy and I've said it, but I talk to my dad almost every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I need that. He is my
Yeah.
therapist.
Do you use any applications or websites to help manage your mental health?
No, I really don't. Honestly, too, I feel like my podcast and connecting with other people that have overcome crazy things has been like therapy for me as well. And it has lended itself to new friendships, new connections, new opportunities. So, yeah, work has come from it. Other podcasts like this have come from it. I feel like it's positively impacted my mental health.
Can you tell us about a time you felt mentally unhealthy or unbalanced?
Yeah, after I had this last kid, because my fourth child came 7 weeks early and I had a C-section, emergency C-section, which my husband hadn't even told his job that I was pregnant yet. It was a tremendous juggle with my 3 older children. This was like pre-pandemic, but also it was very hard on my body. And, you know, I had my other 3 children a lot younger. My next youngest kid is 8. So I have a 13, 10, and 8-year-old and a 2-year-old. It was a whirlwind. I'm not going to lie, like no sleep. The baby had to have like a feeding tube. Luckily, he came out breathing, but he was in the NICU for 7 weeks. And then I had, you know, I was switching schools with my other kids. It was a very tough year. Maybe a very tough year and a half. Yeah. And, you know, I never went to a therapist. My dad was definitely my therapist through that, but I had some very dark thoughts, you know. I am sure that I probably went through some postpartum with that one. And it's like you go to the doctor and they give you these surveys to fill out and you're like, what is filling out that survey truthfully going to do for me other than like get me in the system as somebody that has issues? Like filling out that survey doesn't make me feel better and it's not helpful. I even talked to my OB. I swear, like OBs become your therapist. And she was like, do you need to talk to someone? I'm like, I need exercise, sleep, and like healthy food, which, you know, with a 3-pound baby, all of that just gets put on the back burner. Like your workouts go, your sleep goes, your balance goes, your date night goes, your work goes, everything goes. And that's a really tough adjustment. And you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Like I was having career momentum. You know, my kids were sleeping through the night. They were toilet trained. We were having date night for 5 years. Yeah, all that went away. But I have a cute, healthy, beautiful baby, and it was all worth it.
Right, of course. Yes.
But it was really tough.
Yeah. It sounds wild. Is there any support that you need that you're not receiving to help manage your mental health?
I mean, God, wouldn't everyone love a therapist?
Yeah.
I would love a therapist. Everyone should have a therapist. I mean, good Lord, it should be covered. It should be in network. It should be a co-payment for everyone, especially with this freaking like staying inside for the last 18 months. Everyone needs therapy. I don't know whether it's occupational, speech, or mental. but everyone needs it. We're all declining here. The fact that it's astronomical sucks.
Yeah.
Where's the community for free therapy? Like, we should start that. Like, group free freaking therapy for the world. The world needs it. Seriously, there's an invention.
Okay, look, I'm on board with you. I'm
Yeah.
on a mission. I'm on a mission.
It's true.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know one person that doesn't have like mental health checks, right? Like, we all need them.
We do. We all do. What would you expect to pay for a platform that creates a more positive impact on your mental health?
What would you expect to pay for that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how much is therapy? Like 120 a session, 150 a session, 250 a session, depending on which neighborhood you're in. I mean, it's crazy. So how many times would you all be getting together?
Right.
Right?
Not with my budget. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean,
No, it is.
I've tried it. I have. And if I were to have a better outcome from it, I'd probably still be doing it.
Right. It's kind of like a massage therapist. You have to find the right fit.
Oh, yeah.
It
Definitely.
takes you like $500 just to find one that works with you. Okay.
Right. I mean, I would love to have pedicures once a month too, right? Like, there's a lot of things that can make you feel better.
That's true. That's so true.
I'd love to get microdermabrasion. I'd love to do microneedling. I'd love to, there's so many things that you can pamper yourself with. But at the end of the day, it's also about self-love, pushing yourself out of your boundaries to make yourself better, right? Like, the only one that can honestly fix you is you. Like, you've got to start making healthier freaking habits. Like, I hadn't worked out in the past however long since this baby has come. And I finally was like, I need a freaking treadmill. I need to commit to doing it, right? No more excuses.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah. So I've taken that on, and, I bought the stupid gallon water bottle jug, and sometimes I fill it halfway up. Sometimes I fill it all the way up, but I feel better when I drink water. I feel better when I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I feel better when I eat healthy versus Twix bars. I feel better when I do 30 minutes of exercise. I'm in my 40s now, so I have to start consciously like making choices to do things that put me in a better state of mind in order to perform better, in order to be a better mommy, in order to have better relationships. All of these things start with you.
Right. Yeah, totally. I am hearing it. When thinking about the mental health of people that you know, how do you think most of them would rate their mental health on a scale from 0 to 10?
Again, everyone I know needs therapy. Seriously. Although, not everyone will admit to it, right?
Right.
I think so many people are not truthful, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it take? Does it take a breaking point?
Well, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people.
Yeah, tell me what you've discovered.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, takes a breaking point, something that has happened where it was a turning, like you're either going to go one way or you're going to go another. To start, like what you're talking about, those different habits, those choices, where it's just kind of like, I've got to do this first now, because anything else that I try to do is just not going to be as good.
Yeah. And when I started thinking about too, I was like, oh my God, if I put myself and my health first, like if I worked as hard on that as I do on my business, I'd be in amazing shape. Right? But what's the most important thing? And what have we discovered through the pandemic? Like, our family and our health is, that's all we got.
Yeah.
So it definitely needs to be on the priority list.
Yes, it does. So do you think most people would rate themselves at like a 6 or 8, 10, 5?
As far as needing therapy?
Just their overall mental health.
Overall mental health, I think most people would, fall in around there. I don't think that they would rate it as high, but I would say probably in the middle.
Like a 5?
Yeah, like needing improvement, and probably on the lower end of that, because I think the pandemic has really affected people.
Right.
There's a lot of stress going on, whether it's Afghanistan or vaccines or going back to school or being out of jobs or, bills. There's so many stressors right now.
Yeah, there is. It's a lot. Oh my gosh. You feel bad about your own problems and you see those
Refugees.
people. Yeah, it's awful.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I'm even afraid to post on social media about anything because I'm just like, should we only be talking about that right now? Like, I don't feel bad. Got myself in trouble here. Okay, I've got some questions about your social media platform use. Which ones do you use out of this list?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, WhatsApp, all those. Reddit, not Snapchat anymore. That's it.
And then LinkedIn.
And LinkedIn, yeah.
On average, how many messages do you receive a day?
Over 10.
How does that make you feel?
In some ways, like validated. In other ways, I don't have time to like give those people necessarily the love that I want to.
Right. How many messages do you send a day?
Over 10.
How does sending over 10 messages a day make you feel?
Slightly exhausted.
Okay, great. So let's now, are you able to share your screen and I can have you kind of talk through what you think about my website in real time, being just like brutally honest?
Sure.
Okay, great. I'm going to send it in.
So hit share screen.
Yeah. And then I'm going to
Okay.
send you the URL in the chat there.
It's not letting me grab that. Hold on. Share. Okay. Okay. Should I just go to a different? Oh no, can't do that. I have to stay on the StreamYard.
There. My bad. I sent it again with like a
See.
HTTP. There we go. Okay, cool.
Okay, you can see that?
Yeah. So just look through it and talk openly
about what I see.
Yeah.
Actually, I was trying to read behind the text. The first thing I saw was anonymous text messaging. I wanted to know, because that was in big black bold print, what that was. Even before the little print that's in the front of it, I wanted to know what the big black print was. Because I feel like big black text is more important than little white text. So I wanted to move the little white text out of the way. Okay. Oh, and now by agreeing, I can see it. Okay, as anonymous text messaging for founders and entrepreneurs. Cool. Being a founder is exhausting. Okay, so my first thought is like, I know you're trying to reach a pain point, but how could you say that in the positive? I mean, you do say get support the easy way, but maybe that should be the bold part.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Like, I feel like exhausting should be minimized, but what should be magnified is that you've got something easy.
Wow, that's really great feedback.
Get started for free. Okay. Next thought is that I am already getting text messages from clients, and I'm in 3 WhatsApp groups that I just got rid of one today. If I get too many updates via my phone, I'm going to end the relationship pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, therapy, nice to have, but let's get real, it's expensive. Okay, yeah, we talked about that because I know. I like the visuals of the 2 different people. Friends and family, of course, they love you, but do they really understand your challenges? I like the different people that you picked because they look different from each other, but yet hip. And a mix of ages. This is like different generations here. So maybe somebody who could, I like that you put the older person there as an advisor or a mentor, and the younger person who's kind of like looking to grow in her journey.
Mm-hmm. How would you describe what this website is about?
So one thing I might actually add would be like, hey, do you want to join like an entrepreneurial community? Like, that's what this seems like. But it doesn't say it. Oh, well, it does say it down here, but it's like past the fold, right? Like, community is big right now. Like, that's totally trending. So I would maybe put that up higher. Like, instead of therapy, I might even put that further down than like, hey, do you want to be a part of an entrepreneurial community around mental health? Because entrepreneurs all need to support each other. We're all going through like mental health struggles type of message.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it's anonymous too. Maybe, oh, you said that up here, but it didn't stick out really. Like, I didn't get it until later. I get it more here. Plus, it's anonymous, so you never risk getting judged. So, wow, that's cool. You can be part of a community and get the support that you need, but it's anonymous. So I like that you're not judged. I would maybe like incorporate that more.
Mm-hmm.
I like that part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that part too.
Yeah, increase your mental health. Okay, cool. But that's really big. That takes up like, I would make that smaller. That's like half your page. What are your members saying? I would maybe like make this feel like more of a quote, you know? Like, this is very spaced out. It doesn't feel like a quote. It's like too spaced, too big of print. Like, I would maybe like put it more in like a typewriter font.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks like a text since these look like phones.
Right, right. Yeah.
How it works. Become a member, send it to me.
I want to be super respectful of your time because we're coming up on the hour.
Okay, founders today are under extreme amount of pressure. I appreciate that because I have not eaten dinner and I've been on Zooms for the last 3 hours. So yeah, I'm probably going to wrap it up here in a couple of minutes.
That was extremely helpful to me.
Oh,
I
good. I'm
really
glad.
just, do you want me to add you to my mailing list? You do not have to say no. I totally, like, we get so many. We get so many. I just need to know if I should put your email here or not, so then I can submit this survey that I
Sure.
Okay. You can unsubscribe at any time. No pressure at all.
Okay.
Um,
What else was I going to say here? I feel like the yellow part like fits with the branding up top, but this mountain to me feels like less relatable. Like, because you're kind of going with like the phone kind of vibe and the people kind of vibe and the colors, and then this mountain doesn't really match to me.
Gotcha. It's out of place.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how do you pronounce the name of it?
How would you pronounce it if you're reading that?
QUOKA?
Yes. Woohoo! That is
Would it be
correct.
weird to put like the phonetic in there?
Probably
Where did
not.
QUOKA come from?
So when I was starting this whole project, it was about happiness and the internet being a place that should be like trying to make technology useful to make us feel happier and like random happiness moments. That's how it originally started. It's come a long way to this entrepreneur mental health thing. And so when I was looking up the name, I Googled what's the happiest animal in the world, because I was just doing my brainstorming of like an animal
Yeah.
name this, and the happiest animal in the world is the quokka, which is spelled
Huh.
QUOKA, out of Australia, and you certainly have seen it before. But you also would probably pronounce it quokka if you saw it, and I was pronouncing it quokka. It's like that cute little marsupial with like a smile.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
People like to take selfies with it, and so we did some radio tests last year with my intern team, and people were pronouncing the quokka with two Ks. It's pronounced quokka in Australia, but everyone pronounces it quokka when they read it here in the US. And then when we asked people how they would spell quokka, they spelled it with one K. So we dropped the other K.
Interesting. Can you put a picture of a quokka on there?
Yeah, I have a little cute quokka that is like super, like, it's kind of like an animated thing. I'm just working through my list of things to do.
Maybe that would be cute instead of the mountain.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely
Because you
want
talk
to.
about being happy, and that's the happiest animal. So that could maybe play there. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I visualize that quokka, the little quokka, coming in when I have probably a budget to like pay a professional designer to bring like this website. I look at it.
I
This
like
is
the white space. I'm a big fan of white space. So I like this part here the most.
Yeah. I,
I mean, if you look at my website, less is more.
yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I'm always like, oh my God, I have to change. But it's like, if I just did that, I would just be working on my website every day, and then I'd never get to talk to founders like you and connect and do this stuff and, launch the podcast. And, I'm trying to
Oh,
launch
you're
this.
launching a podcast?
I'm launching a podcast. All these interviews become part of the podcast.
Nice. I love
Yeah.
it.
And give people platform entrepreneurs to like hear that others struggle with mental health too, kind of destigmatize it. I want to make it a movement.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, another entrepreneur you might think about reaching out to is Heather Parody. She's big about talking about that, and she's lovely. She has a big community. I think she's got like 5,000 people in her Facebook group now.
Yeah, I would love to meet her for sure.
She'd give you some good feedback for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank
She's
you.
passionate about the subject, mental health. Yeah, tell her I sent you.
Okay. Well,
Or I can make an email introduction if you want.
that would be great. I'm going to send you a link to this video, and I'll put a note in there whenever you have a moment, obviously.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much. Is there anything I can do to support your work?
Oh, you're so sweet. I mean, I'm happy that if you check out my podcast, you could subscribe, leave me a review.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be
Sounds
awesome.
very unique and different.
Aw, I hope that you will like my daddy as much as I do.
Yeah, he sounds great. A little therapy. Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. Keep in touch. Become part of my Facebook group. It's a small group of non-judgy people too, and a lot of entrepreneurs in there. So you might, on every Friday, I do promote anything. So you could probably find some more guests for this there.
Yeah, I would love to join your Facebook group. I will follow up and check that out as well. Thank you for the invite. That sounds great.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you
so
so
much.
I appreciate you. Have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.